What is the median inheritance? I thought this was pretty interesting. This came from the New Retirement. I do subscribe to the New Retirement blog, and I don't get much from them, but every now and again they post something that I find of interest. And a lot of people speak highly of the website they have for the retirement planning software tool. Did I ever use that? I can't remember if I ever used it. I know my man Joe Kuhn speaks highly of it. I don't think I've ever used it actually. I like Right Capital. Right Capital works for me. Because I like Right Capital because of tax stuff. The tax stuff on Right Capital is just fantastic. On a side note on that, I don't offer Right Capital to non-clients anymore. So I every now and again I'll get an email saying, "Hey, you still offer that?" I don't. You got to be a client to get access to it. So if you want to be a client, be my guest, man, and you have unencumbered access to it for as long as I pay these guys. And I plan on using Right Capital until the cows come home. When do the cows come home? Only the good Lord knows. And if loving the Lord is wrong, I don't want to be right. Anyway, so the interesting thing is, do you have an average retirement, an average inheritance, and a median? I'm just telling you, just scratch the average. The average is irrelevant. It just is. In fact, New Retirement in their blog, they actually say a pretty interesting thing. They say, for every $1 that the least wealthiest get, the highest wealthiest get 4,447 or something like that. So it just shows you that the average is so skewed towards the retirement or the inheritance that Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and all these non-do-wells are doing. You know what I'm saying? So you can't look at averages just on anything. I cannot stress this enough. The averages are irrelevant. If you say, oh, the average retirement is X, Y, Z, it has nothing to do with you, dude. I'm telling you, it's all based on the rich guys and their, let's just say, shady gains, if you know what I'm saying. If you know what I mean. Anyway, but the median is interesting. So the median is about $86,000. I think they said $76,000 for those without a college degree, which is kind of weird, and then $92,000 with those with a college degree. And off the top of my head, I can't remember if that's the death, how much is left at death. Like if grandma who did not have a college degree, did she leave $76,000? And grandpa who did have a college degree, did he leave $92,000? I can't remember. But it's about $85,000 is the median inheritance. Now, part two of that is when they link this survey of consumer finances, but they don't link to the data set. They just link to the email. Not the email, the website. So they say, according to survey of consumer finances, the median inheritance is this, that, and the other. You're like, all right, sweet. Here's the link to the survey of consumer finances, but it's just to the basic website. It's like, dude, come on, please bring us to the page so I can look at it. Oh my goodness. I do that on occasion too. I'm not gonna lie; it just still frustrates me. But I mean, it was funny because if you actually look at the SEF, what you'll find is when they talk about the medians and the means are the averages. They're just talking about that is for those people who have that product, all right? And so for the people who received any inheritance, the median inheritance, and again, median simply means 50% of the people have more, 50% of the people have less. The median inheritance is roughly $85,000 for the people who have an inheritance. Now, I can't go into the SCF because they didn't link to this data set they're using and see how many a percentage of people who actually had an inheritance. I can't see it. Unlike if you go the percentage of people have debt, percentage of people have a home mortgage, percentage of people who have a 401k plan. You can look at that for the survey of consumer finances. Say you got 100 people. Percentage of people who have a 401k, say 82%, something like this, probably about 65%. So of those 65%, what's the median balance on your 401k? All right, and that means inherently those 35% of the people who don't have a 401k are not included in that data set because it says explicitly, if you just read the fine print at the bottom, the medians and means are based on the people who actually have that product. Thus, if you don't have the product, you're not included. And so this case, I'm sure it didn't say because I couldn't. They didn't lead to the data set. They just led to the front page. But I'm sure it's the same thing. So of the people who received an inheritance, the median inheritance was $85,000. And I'm telling you, man, there's been this for as long as I've been a financial advisor. The great wealth transfer. We didn't talk about this for decades now. About the baby boomers dying off. They have so much money they're going to leave it to their kids. And look, when my grandma died, she left me $200,000, and that's what we used for a down payment on the house we have there in Georgia. Could not have come a better time. And the only reason she left it to us is because my uncle had done quite well, and he said just basically take care of the grandkids, and it's just such a blessing for me. And, just thank you, Grandma, Grampy, and Grammy, and my uncle for doing that as well. And my other uncle did the same thing. I mean, it just was great. And I need that money. I just had 4 young children. You know what I'm saying? I just started a job in Georgia. We didn't have that much equity on our New Jersey house. We sold it. And we would have got by. Don't get me. We were a hell of a lot better when we moved to Georgia in 2013 than we moved to Texas in 2008. Let me tell you that. So we needed that money, but I mean, the money came in handy, but we didn't need it as much as we did in 2008, and it's just the way it is, man. 2008 it was tough, and 2013 it was less tough. And now look, I mean, I got tons of equity in my home, and if it wasn't for my grandma, I mean, I don't know where I'd be. You know what I mean? But that helped a lot. That's $200,000. I'm fortunate, without question, and I'm not blessed any more than anyone. I mean, because we're all blessed, regardless if you got inheritance or not. But there won't be any inheritance when my mom dies, and there wasn't any inheritance when my dad died. You know what I'm saying? So that was basically I basically, that's what you want too, by the way. You don't want to leave an inheritance to your 65-year-old kid who just retired as a career as a doctor or a Navy pilot like my granddad. You know, who's got a pension from the Navy, pension from the airplane unit, the airplane that he flew for. He got a pension from Social Security. I mean, you want to leave it to the kids when they need it, when they're raising kids and raising a family. I've never understood this thing, when I'm not going to let my kids get till they're 55 years old, because I've dealt with tons of people like that. And I'm like, are your kids addicted to crack? No, they're good kids. They're raising kids. Well, why would you want to wait? Well, just in case you become addicted to crack. I said, do you really think a 55-year-old guy is going to become addicted to crack if he's not addicted when he's 35? Seems weird to me. Anyway, what they used to do a lot of times is put structures on these trusts. A third, 25, 35, and 45. You're like, that's fine. I get a 25 exposed, but 35, that's usually when the people need the money the most, man. At 35, I needed the money more than I needed at 45. I'll tell you that right now. And I needed the money at 45 more than I needed at 55. That's just a fact. Because at 35, we had 2 children. We're still living in Dayton, Virginia, and we were struggling, dude. You know what I mean? And if I could, look, I'm putting myself in the position of a young guy right now, trying to raise a family with mortgage, student loans to pay, car loans, the whole thing. And you need the money now. You don't need it 20 years from now when you're 55, and I'm 53 now. I mean, if someone gave me $200,000, I'm not going to freaking turn away from it. But I don't need it nearly like I did back then. You see what I'm saying? So if you're looking at leaving an inheritance, man, devise a way to do it now, or at least help them out now. But it might affect my ability to retire. I just don't think it will. I mean, there are people that does, I grant you. I had this wonderful family up in upstate New York. This is back 15 years ago. Yeah, probably going 12, 15 years ago. And their son was just, he just always had these businesses, and they always failed. And they're always financing his businesses, and they just could not cut the cord. And it was hurting them financially. I said, at some point, and he always said, I'll pay it back, and he never did. And at some point, I was a financial advisor. I said, you got to cut the cord. They said, well, he just needs $50,000, and I was like, man. And then these are such nice people. They want to give money to the church too. I was like, or the school, there's some Catholic school up there. I forgot what it's called. Maybe in Pennsylvania. They lived in New York. Maybe I can't remember. It's a Catholic school. They wanted to do. I was like, you just don't have the assets to do it. In terms of relative to your own financial planning, it just don't. And but I don't come across that often, man. And maybe I'm an elite group of people who don't have the needs. I don't think so. I just think what happens is most people, when they retire, they just don't need as much as they thought. I really do believe that. Anyway, I thought I'd share that with you. All right, we're heading back to Georgia here in a little bit. See you, cold Boston. We'll go back to nice, warm Georgia with sun. And the girls are pretty. The grass is green. The girls are pretty. God bless.